let's go to our main issue, as I indicated, which has to do with the fuel price increases. Yes. And the threat by the road transport operators, they are saying that they would want at least 5 of the taxes they describe as useless to be scrapped. Else, on Thursday, they're going to withdraw their services. Joining us on the phone now is Godfred Abulbere. He's the General Secretary of the GPRTU. Good morning to you, Godfred. Hello, good morning to you, Godfred. All right, it looks like we have lost Godfred Abulbere, but we have Kojo Poku, who is an energy analyst. He's also joining us via Zoom. Good morning to you, Kojo Poku.
Hi, good morning, my brother. How are you?
I'm fine. How about you too?
I'm very well, and good morning to my brother Robson. He's looking very dapper this morning.
I tell you, look, if you should see the suit in studio, then you get to appreciate.
I can see from here. I wonder where he's going this morning, where he's coming from this morning, not where he's going, where he's coming from this morning.
Kojo, me bro. But yeah, Kojo, what do you...
It's been a while.
Yes. So what do you make of this, the fuel price increases and the threat by the transport operators that government would have to scrap at least 5 taxes? And they've identified those taxes. They want government to scrap them so that it will automatically reduce the cost of fuel or the prices of fuel. So then they don't have to increase their fares.
Well, I think the call is misplaced. Government cannot scrap those taxes they talk of. You see, we've been hammering this thing for the past month, and we are saying that the price stabilization levy was a levy set up to put money in an account to help Ghanaians when times are hard. Times are hard now. Instead of asking government to scrap taxes, ask government to use the 1.2 billion which is out there. You see, I don't see how government can scrap taxes and you are still asking for development, roads, hospitals, and all the things you want. That's the only way government gets revenue, because we don't pay taxes as a nation. And I've been repeating this over and over. The point is, we should all come together and ask for accountability. In good times, government said we should put something aside. We did. Since January 2016, we've been putting money aside. That kitty should have been 2.5 billion. Let's say government used 50% of that to subsidize premiums. There should be half of that money for Ghanaians today. That money can take 20% off the liter of fuel for 2 years, because we use about 3 billion of these 3 billion fuel every year. So 20 pesos times 3 billion is 600 million. And that's the call that CSOs are making. Okay. That we don't think that scrapping taxes is going to help the nation, but use the money collected from us to help us.
All right. Sure. We have Godfred Abulbere back on the line now. Hello, Godfred.
Yes.
All right. Good morning to you. So, yes,
morning.
We're trying to understand this morning why the call for the scrapping of the taxes. What you usually do is that you negotiate with government, and then there's an agreed increase in transport fares so that everybody is happy, even though the commuters won't be happy. Why now? Why are you deciding now that you want the taxes scrapped?
But I just heard the gentleman spoke. I don't know. You mentioned Kojo. Which Kojo is that?
Kojo Poku. He's an energy analyst.
Okay, I talked to the Minister Kojo.
No.
Okay. The fact is that I don't know if there's another literal meaning of price stabilization and recovery. If the price stabilization and recovery per itself doesn't mean that when the prices are going high, tax funds should be used to stabilize it. If that's the literal meaning, I don't know. But for now, what we think is that if that levy is there, and then if you read all the 5 or even the 13 levies, some of them are like a duplication or repetition of the other. And then we see that it is the tax component element that has risen the fuel price high. So directly from the operators, if we say that fine, we are going for lower fare negotiation or increment, that means that we are just shifting out the whole burden to the traveling public. That is why this time we have taken this approach. But what we mean is that if you look at the first levy which we had mentioned. Hello, are you listening?
Yes, we're listening.
The first, yes. The energy debt recovery levy. the energy debt recovery levy, as they have 49 pesos per liter, was as a result of the initial time that the subsidy was being done, and then there was a pile-up debt that government need to clear, and that levy was put there. And then if you say energy, we are referring to what? Power and then fuel. There are the two energies. And then as of now, per their own publication, the old debt, the legacy debt has been cleared. So perhaps if they are not scrapping, that particular levy should be reduced. And our understanding then is that it was 28 cedis being charged for power and 21 cedis being charged for the old debt, legacy debt that was being accrued. And if that one is cleared, they wanted to remove all the 21 pesos from that levy that is being charged on fuel. Now, the other one which we have just mentioned, government has seen that it's actually sensible to take off the price stabilization and then recovery levy. They only acted by suspending for 2 months. And we think if that one is also removed, per the figure on it, the 60 pesos, it may not be too much, but it justifies that it's removal. So we are not asking government for too much, but that they should look at it. The moment we come in and ask for a lot of increment, and each time we come for a lot of increment, it's a direct passage of the burden or the liability to the customers. And it's actually affected our business.
So the argument that's being made, Godfred, is that, yes, if you increase the transport fares, it will directly impact the commuters.
Yes.
But then if you also decide that, or if you're saying that the taxes should be scrapped, it means that the development that the commuters, or these same commuters, will be needing, the roads and the other things, they're not going to get it. And let's be frank in this conversation. The taxes that government is collecting, yes, it may indicate that it is called price stabilization levy. But we should know that that price stabilization levy is not going to be sitting there. Government is using it for other things.
Your argument may not be correct. You see, on the levies, we have road fund levy there. We have road fund levy there.
So
energy fund levy there.
I appreciate. So, Godfred, you really believe that the money that government, the tax that government would have collected for price stabilization levy is actually sitting there, and that it's waiting for an opportunity like this for it to use? I just want us to have a frank conversation. Government that doesn't have money lying around like that, and so the money is not sitting there. And Kojo Poku, you can come in here.
Let me say this quickly. Look, for me, we are in a deregulated market. I have a problem when you ask government to remove taxes. But what I'm saying is that, yes, I agree with your point that the 1.2 billion that we are calling for might not be sitting there. But let me put this point in, and since my brother from GPRTU is on the line, one of the key points for price deregulation is that consumers should patronize cheaper stations. If they want to boycott, what GPRTU should get its members to do is to boycott the higher charging filling stations. There are filling stations that, as I speak to you, are charging something like 6.65. Some are charging 6.69. That is a good 30 pesos difference. Now, 30 pesos per liter is what we are asking government to take off its taxes. But there are companies who are offering you that 30 pesos discount at their forecourt, and nobody is going there. Okay? So if GPRTU wants to make this thing work, and they want the deregulation to work, because for us, CSOs, we've been asking that government should cap the margins that the CSOs, the OMCs make. Because some OMCs of these big four oil marketing companies are making as high as 70 pesos per liter as their margin. And that's ridiculous. Before COVID, these same companies were running with 35 and 40 pesos. Today, they are not reducing their margins, they are increasing their margins. So GPRTU, if they really want to boycott something, they should boycott the big four and go to the Ghanaian-owned and the local ones who are charging 6.6 and 6.65. That is a removal of 30 pesos.
No, but
so
Foku, how long will these indigenous firms or OMCs that you're talking about, how long can they keep selling at the prices you're quoting? Because it takes
they can. No, they can. Let me tell you one thing. Price war brings the price down. Because what I'm saying to you is that the guy at this window, the window we are speaking in now, where some of the big four, all the big four are doing 6.9, these other companies are doing 6.65. They can afford to, because it's a numbers game. If you patronize them more, they see more volumes, and they make a little bit per liter. They are happy to do that.
So Gold is one of Gold is one of those indigenous companies. They are selling theirs at 6.9.
Well, Gold is not. Gold is a sellout, my brother. Gold is not an indigenous company anymore. Gold should set the pace. Gold is trying, because of their inefficiency in running, Gold is now doing the same as Puma, Total, and Shell, which is ridiculous. I don't see how Gold is selling at 6.9. So what I'm saying is that if you want to now mention names, there is Zen Petroleum, there's Star Oil. They are doing 6.65. Everybody should go and let's boycott the guys doing 6.9. And let's see the...
Godfred, do you have a problem patronizing the companies that are selling a lot cheaper fuel than the big four that Kojo Poku has been talking about?
You see, I don't know whether Kojo has gotten the evidence of buying from those ones and seeing the quantity that has been filled to their tank. We ever mentioned that. The other problem that we are facing is that there is no direct provision to the pump as to whether the margin that the price they have quoted is what they pump out to the consumers. See, we have had occasions where some of them have gone to adjust their pumps, and then when you are buying, what you see on the screen on their notice
is not what you're getting.
Pumping into your tank.
Okay.
And then we have said that if the moment fuel prices increase today, what the old stock they have, they begin to sell at new prices. But there is no system to control that. We should have bought old stock. Why do you sell down before you now sell at the new price? But when there's an issue of fuel being reduced, they will find a way of selling to you with that old price. What you buying it, you don't even know. See, the system of the checks and balances on it, is another area we are always having a problem. But let me respond to what Kudu is saying. If we have all the filling stations everywhere, I don't think a car from Accra here, if you can't identify any of the lower filling stations, he cannot move from here to another place far to get the fuel from there and come back. How often will he do that? How often will he be able to do that? And besides that, the route which you are applying will tell whether those who are selling lower are there or not. But I think we are all speaking the same voice, but we looking at all the series of the components of the levies on the fuel now, and we think collectively all of them are just too much.
Okay.
If I draw attention to this fuel marking margin, there's a 5 personal impact on it. And that one was about when they were trying to differentiate the Ghanaian fuel against the Burkina or any other country fuel from, and then they were doing this colouring type of fuel being sold. How relevant is it today that levy is still there?
Okay. Governor Abubri, please hold on for me. We have Mohammed Abdul Kudus, Communications Director at the National Petroleum Authority. Good morning to you, Mohammed.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for making time to speak with us. So we're having this conversation with the transport operators. They're indicating that they're going to withdraw their services if government refuses to withdraw or scrap about 5 taxes that they've listed, that these taxes are needless and useless. We also heard from Kojo Poku, who's talking about the fact that we're in a deregulated market. And we've also had the conversation about some of the taxes that are supposed to cushion, so the price stabilization levy. Why is it not being applied? These are questions that have come up. What do you say to them?
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning to you. Good morning to the people you have on the line. Good morning to those who are listening and watching you this morning. Okay, so first of all, a quick one. I'm the communications manager.
Okay.
I report to a director so that it doesn't appear I'm in a competition with my boss. Having said that, I think I understand the emotions with which people are speaking to the issues of the prices of fuel out there, particularly transport owners.
When you say emotions, they find it offensive. They're actually speaking, facts.
Oh, I did not say that to on the negative note, because I've had even my wife, okay, call me and speak very emotively about the subject, and that is the angle from which I'm coming. We're all consumers of it. The higher it goes, the more it actually affects our pocket. And so I did not speak about it in the negative context. I only sought to give a particular picture of how we are all attached to the cost of petroleum products, and anytime it goes up, how it affects all of us. I listen, and I think we all listen to the concerns of the drivers union out there after their press conference yesterday. And Israel, maybe would take opportunity of your medium to share a certain light with private people who are watching us this morning. There's a call for a scrapping or removal of some part of the price build-up. And I've just heard that the fuel marking has actually been brought up specifically. The fuel marking is supposed to check possible adulteration to guarantee and ensure that the quality as it is from the point of the depot that it was taken to the point of the pump that it is to be discharged so that you and I can buy. It is that particular component of the price built up that guarantees the margin. That guarantees the quality. So today, if it was to be suspended, scrapped, or taken out, what it means is that there might be a certain marginal relief on the prices that we pay for the product. But the consequences we might not be affecting our minds to is the compromise, the possible compromise on the quality of the product. That you and I probably would have it, including the transport owners, would have an effect of that on their engine. And so it is as relevant as it is today, and it would continue to be relevant if you ask me. But it is a conversation that we all can have as a people, and to make a determination if we feel that we probably can do with the consequence, and so because of the rising cost, we should be suspended. That's a discussion that can be brought. We at MPA don't determine, we don't slap some of these things. They are determined for us, and we basically implement what is given to us. I've heard again the issue about the UPPF margin, and they mention it as part of the 5 that you talked about. The UPPF margin is supposed to bring a certain equalization in the prices of the product, regardless where you are in the country. So what it means is that if that component was to be suspended, the further you are away from the depot, the higher you are likely to pay for the price of fuel. So that the people in Accra, probably if the component was taken out, would have a certain reprieve or relief, but my people in Tamale might be paying more. Okay, so that component is there for a specific purpose. And I think that some of this, I agree, like I said from the beginning, that the cost is hitting all of us, but we ought to soberly reflect over the things or the demands that we make. So collectively we can take a decision that would not come again and hurt all of us. So I think briefly that is what I would want to say.
All right, so
the call
Mohammed,
you
mentioned a number of, just about 2 taxes, but they mention a number of them. They say the energy debt recovery levy, the road fund levy, energy sector levy, sanitation levy, and special petroleum levy. The sanitation levy, for instance, they say that they're paying taxes for sanitation already. Essentially, they're paying taxes all over the place. So why are we still being taxed? And they ask, what does sanitation levy have to do with petroleum prices?
Okay, Israel, like I said again, we at MPA don't determine these things. We only implement them. So I would not be able to directly speak to that because it is not a creation of the MPA. It was only created for us. And as you know, a lot of it is the determination of Parliament. It is then given to us and then we implement. So when the determination is made again to review, revise, or scrap it, we would probably act accordingly and then to readjust the price build-up.
All right.
We're working to a certain petroleum pricing formula approved by Parliament for us. So as and when the ingredients in the price build-up are changed, we at MPA would act accordingly. But we are not the people who determine some of this, and so I cannot speak, or we at MPA cannot speak directly to
but
that.
I'd want to believe that the MPA too can advise and indicate that, okay, we can do away with this, we can do away with that.
Obviously, we regularly have our discussions with government through the ministry, but advice being what it is not something that should be shared in public. Okay, it is an advice that we give, we share in our communications, and the determinations would be made. Ultimately, the decision lies with the ministry and government, and not the MPA. So, as you put it, it's an advice, and I'm not sure it is proper that advice so shared in private should actually be brought to the public.
All right, thank you very much, Mohammed Abdul Kudus. He's a communications manager at the National Petroleum Authority. Okay, before you go, Roxing has a point to make. Hello, Rox.
MPA, you told us about a month ago that due to the rising prices of crude on the world market, we're going to suspend two taxes that government had come to Parliament to seek approval to levy. Now, I raised the issue of constitutionality of that declaration because, indeed, if you look at the constitutional provisions clearly, you still needed to come to Parliament. Even though we are giving you the power to do that, you still will have to come for prior approval. I haven't seen that on the other paper yet. You are still increasing prices, and yet you put out the notice that you are going to suspend the implementation or the imposition of these two taxes for 2 months. We've entered the second month since the declaration. That policy is not working.
It hasn't been implemented.
It is not being implemented because they haven't come to Parliament to seek the prior approval constitutional stipulation that they are supposed to go through. So why are they doing this? You are not able to implement a policy. You put out a notice that you do that. The people are in anticipation of that. That will bring them some comfort. And yet within that period, fuel prices are still going up.
Mama Kudus, you have a point to make, a reaction to that.
So if I could speak directly to that.
Yes.
Forgive me. Regrettably, I don't have the statement we issued right before me. But I remember, if you look at the second but last paragraph, we indicated that the Finance and Energy Ministry would work the legislative processes to have us implement that particular decision of government. And we had the communication that we are free to go and we can actually implement that. And so from 1st November, okay, the price build-up is minus the price stabilization and recovery levy. So today what we are paying is, for petrol, for example, is less 16 pesos per liter. So if the price build-up had included the price stabilization levy, what we are paying for the petrol we are buying at the pump today would have been up by 16 more pesos. But the 16 more pesos have actually been taken out, and we've implemented that from 1st November, that would end the end of December as directed by the ministry. So it is actually enforced, and we're implementing that.
So they're indicating that it has been
can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, Kojo.
So is the gentleman saying that MPA is perpetuating an illegality? Because from what we were told, it was supposed to be passed in Parliament before the effect.
Parliamentary approval.
So if the effect has taken place, is he saying that MPA is perpetuating an illegality?
Mohammed Kudus.
Israel, I heard Kojo. I think that I was with Kojo in your studios when we spoke about this. Like I said, and I would want to repeat myself, that we indicated in the statement that the would work to give us the all clear, implement that. We have seen the communication to go ahead. The presumption now is that that leg of the process was completed, and we as MD have been called to implement, and we are doing exactly that. So I don't know where the illegality allegation.
Let me read the Constitution for him to listen. Let me... Mohammed.
Yes, sir.
This is the constitutional provision I speak of. Article 174, Clause 2. In fact, let me read Clause 1 for purposes of understanding. 1741 says, no taxation shall be imposed otherwise than by or under the authority of an act of parliament. 1742 says, where an act enacted in accordance with clause 1 of this article confers power on any person or authority to waive or vary a tax imposed by that act, the exercise of the power of the waiver or variation in favor of any person or authority shall be subject to the prior approval of Parliament by resolution. So even though the Finance Ministry through the NPA or the Energy Ministry through the NPA can waive, because what they are doing is a waiver in the interim. They want to waive the imposition of that for 2 months. That exercise, Clause 2 is saying you have to come to Parliament to seek prior approval, even though we have mandated you to do so.
Anyway, but it also becomes obvious that a lot of the questions we're posing to the MP Mohammed Kudus at this point is quite above his pay grade. And essentially he's saying,
he shouldn't punch above his weight.
He's saying that as far as they are concerned, they believe the sector ministries have done the needful, and so they have been directed to scrap, and they have gone ahead to do that.
But let me add this. Would he agree with the minority when we raise the issue?
Thank you so much for putting it nicely for me.
when we raise the issue that some taxes, some elements of the price build-up should be taken away. For instance, the sanitation levy. A call that the driver unions...
So he is saying that, again, when it comes to scrap, what has to be scrapped? They're the MPA. They don't have... They're implementing...
No, but they are stakeholders. Would he agree with the minority and the driver unions now on this matter?
I asked him
because the sanitation levy,
if they would advise,
doesn't make sense.
They would advise government. He says, well, whether they advise government or not, they can put it.
And I'm paying that. I pay at my assembly when they come and collect my rubbish.
Yeah, I understand that.
My assembly, sometimes I collect the rubbish as the MP.
I also do. Okay, so
the rubbish in Germany now is piled up. They are waiting for me to come and collect it.
Mohammed Kudus, thank you very much. Communications Manager for the MP. I think we can let you go at this point, but thank you. Have a wonderful day. And I come back to Kojo Poku for your final thoughts on it. Does it look like, do we still have the GPRTU on the line? Yeah. Okay, so I'll take your final thoughts on it, Adubiri. Hello?
Hello?
Yes. So essentially, you're sticking. I want to ask, since you put out the announcement yesterday, have you heard anything from government yet?
Oh yes, there has been a good response from government.
Okay, what is government saying?
Shortly after that, we were called to a meeting with the sector minister, as the Minister of Transport, and then the response is that we had done a press conference. We were yet to submit a petition in the form of a petition to them.
Okay.
For that they can act on what we are requesting for. But that in our earlier discussions with them, we had taken a certain position about the increment of road tolls. And then that position we had said that was not included in our yesterday's press release. So the discussion today informed us that we need to know what's our actual position on government's intention to increase the road tolls. So we spoke on that, and then we need to add that to that and submit the petition today.
All right.
So that to forward it to government for us to look at it.
All right. So you are confident that something positive is going to come out of it?
Certainly, we are sure.
All right. Thank you very much, Godfrey Abulbre. He's the General Secretary of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. And I come to you, Kojo Poku, for your final thoughts on this issue.
Well, for me, it's just a call on the GPRTU to do one or the other. This issue of they saying that when you go to the pump, what they pump for you is not what it is, those things they can report. It's individual or one or two scrupulous stations that do that. It's not a general thing. Look, the man from MPA said that the fuel marking is introduced to make sure that fuel quality is the same everywhere. So it means that whether company A, company B, or company C sell fuel, all the fuel is the same quality. In the past, people think that if you buy fuel from Shell, it's of a certain quality. If you buy it from Zen or Star, it's lower quality. It's not true. All these fuels come from the same tank. They are all commingled, and they all have the same quality because, as the gentleman from MPA said, fuel marking ensures that there's no abuse. So if GPRTU, which has a very huge vehicle population, can identify some of these stations, I agree with him. The Big Four has monopolized the main trunk roads. The Big Four has monopolized the highway. The Big Four has monopolized most of the advantageous places where you can get fuel. So it's difficult to go past them. But there are instances where there is one of these small stations, low price, between these big ones, and people are going past them to go and buy the 690 when somebody is clearly advertising 6.6. So you can't tell me that government should reduce 30% of the fuel when you still not patronize the cheaper fuel. That is where deregulation, the price war, is supposed to bring the prices down.
Right.
And the GPRTU, the unions and the trotro drivers are not helping that scheme. My last point will be this. I think that Parliament, and my brother Robson sits in Parliament, they should do more and put more heat on the government to do more for Ghanaians. Look, some of these things, we the CSOs are the one putting pressure on government, but we have no bite. We can only write, and the public might rather read or not read, or government might listen or might not listen. But the parliamentarians have the power to put pressure on on the government.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Kojo Poku. He's an energy analyst joining us for the conversation this morning on the AM show. And
right. May I quickly say this? I agree with Kojo that as MPs we need to put more pressure. But ever often when we raise the issues, it is seen as though it's a minority or it's an opposing government agenda. But truth be told, where we are now, government, there are a lot of incidents of the price build-up that government can conveniently take out so that we can bring down the increasing nature
government
of the price.
Can conveniently take it off.
Yes.
How convenient is it going to be? Because you appreciate, as
Yes.
I was indicating, that, look, a lot of these taxes...
Yes. Let me tell you this, Israel. Let me tell you this. No, I know where you are going. Because you are going to tell me that that's the source of revenue for the government. This same government for the past 4 years, through GRA, has been issuing an end-of-year statement to say that they've been exceeding their revenue target.
But all the money they collect is still not enough. GRA sets a revenue target for the state. And they tell you that they've exceeded it. Yeah.
So if this is an entity that is capable of exceeding its revenue target, then indeed I agree that then they are generating excess revenue, isn't it? So we should be able to bring some of these comforts to bear on the ordinary life of our people. And that is to take out some of the incidents of the pricing on the energy services and products that we offer. Israel, we can't be buying petrol at 7 cedis per gallon. It can't, per liter. It can't be. And you know, fuel, petroleum products is the oxygen with which everything else is done in this country.
No doubt.
So once you increase that, and this is basic in economics, once you do that, it affects every other thing.
That's also true.
Including rent, including everything.
That's also true.
So including even the cost of advertising on your medium. So indeed, the government should be able to do more. I know we are getting...
Anyway, so yes, we'll leave that to you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the minority in Parliament, and you can bring the pressure...
Yeah, so when we bring the pressure to bear on government, it shouldn't be seen as a minority thing. It should be seen as as the people speaking.
At this point,
for the people as the elected representative.
At this point, it's not seen as a minority thing because the CSOs are backing.
That's why I'm happy that Kojo is backing us to do more, to bring more pressure to bear. Yeah. And so I'm only encouraging that next time when others criticize us for doing so, you should be able to add his voice in support of that. And then one last thing. Yesterday, the NDC, we've lodged a formal complaint to the CID.
Okay.
to the CID regarding the issues of the over 1 million ballots that have been printed. We were challenged by the Electoral Commission to bring the evidence. We have. So we hope the CID.
So you submitted everything?
Yes, we have. We have lodged a formal complaint. Yes.
Okay.
Including video of coverage from your
JoyNews.
Yes.
Hey.
No, covering the burning of those excess ballots.
Okay. All right.
That were discovered.
Okay. Thank you very much, Roxane Nelson,
Dafia
Mekpo. He's MP for South Dai, joining us in the studio for a very interesting conversation. Now, we're